1, 2. The boss paused. Oh dear, there's a problem, young lady. What? You haven't got any shoes. Tala looked down. In her confusion, she had stumbled barefoot out of the bunkhouse. The packed dirt of the smoke compounded was easy enough to walk on. But in the forest, you won't make it 10 meters, kid. The boss pulled the duffel bag away from her and handed her the plastic container. Now get going. But Tally said, I don't want to go back to the city. Yes, young lady, and I wouldn't mind getting some decent dental work. But we all have to make sacrifices. Starting now. On the last word, he shoved her out from behind the drum. Tally stumbled forward, utterly exposed in the middle of the street. The roar of the hovercar seemed to pass right over her head, and she instinctively ducked, dashing toward the cover of the forest. The special cocked her head toward Tally, calmly folded her arms, and frowned like a teacher spotting littlies playing where they shouldn't. Tally wondered if the pepper would do anything to the woman. If it affected the special like it had Tally, she might still make it to the forest. Even if she was supposed to be the bait. Even if she had no shoes. Even if it turned out that David had already been caught and she'd never see him again. The thought unleashed a sudden torrent of anger inside her, and she ran straight at the woman, the container clenched in both hands. A smile broke out on the special's cruel features. A split second before they collided, the special seemed to disappear, slipping out of sight like a coin in a magician's hand. In her next stride, Tally felt something hard connect with her shin. The pain shot up her leg. Her body tumbled forward, hands reaching out to break her fall, the container slipping from her grasp. She hit the ground hard, skidding on her palms. As she rolled through the dirt, Tally glimpsed the special crouching behind her. The woman had simply ducked, invisibly fast, and Tally had tripped over her like some awkward littlie in a brawl. Shaking her head and spitting the dirt out of her mouth, Tally spotted a container just out of reach. She scrambled toward it, but a staggering weight crashed down on her, driving her face first into the ground. She felt her wrists pull back and bound, hard plastic cuffs cutting into her flesh. She struggled but couldn't move. Then the awful weight lifted, and a nudge from a boot flipped her over effortlessly. The special stood over her, smiling coldly, holding the container. Now, Ugly, the cruel pretty said. You just calm down. We don't want to hurt you, but we will if we have to. Tally started to speak, but her jaw clenched with pain. It had plowed into the ground when she'd fallen. What's so important about this? The special asked, shaking the container and trying to peer through its translucent plastic. Out of the corner of her eye, Tally saw the boss making his way toward the forest. His run was slow and tortured, the duffel bag too heavy for him. Open it and see, Tally spat painfully. I will, she said, smiling. But first things first. She turned her attention toward the boss, and her posture suddenly transformed into something animal, crouched and coiled like a cat ready to spring. Tally rolled back onto her shoulders, thrashing out wildly with both feet. Her kick connected with the container, and it popped open. A puff of brownish-green dust sprayed out over the special. For a second, a disbelieving expression spread over the woman's face. She made a gagging noise, her whole body shuddering. Then her eyes clamped shut, and she screamed. The sound wasn't human. It cut into Tally's ears like a vibrasaw striking metal, and every muscle in her body fought to get free of the handcuffs, her instincts demanding that she cover her ears. With another wild kick, she rolled herself over and stumbled to her feet, staggering in the direction of the forest. A tickle grew in Tally's throat as the pepper dust dispersed on the wind. She coughed as she ran, eyes watering and stinging until she was half blind. With her hands tied behind her, Tally lurched into the brush off balance, tumbling to the ground as her bare feet caught on something in the dense vegetation. She struggled forward, trying to drag herself out of sight. Blinking away tears, she saw that the special's inhuman scream had been some kind of alarm. 3 more of the cruel pretties had responded. One led the pepper-covered special away at arm's length, and the others approached the forest. Tally froze, the brush barely concealing her. Then she felt a tickle in her throat, a slowly growing irritation. Tally held her breath, closing her eyes, but her chest began to shudder, her body twitching, demanding to expel traces of the pepper from her lungs. She had to cough. Tally swallowed again and again, hoping spit could put out the fire in her throat. Her lungs demanded oxygen, but she didn't dare breathe. One of the specials was only a stone's throw away, scanning the forest with slow back-and-forth sweeps of his head, his eyes searching the dense trees relentlessly. Gradually, painfully, the flame seemed to expire in Tally's chest, the cough dying a quiet breath inside her. She relaxed, finally letting out her breath. Over the thunder of hovercars and crackle of burning buildings and sounds of battle, the special somehow heard her soft exhalation. His head turned swiftly, eyes narrowing, and in what seemed like a single motion he was by her side, a hand on the back of her neck. "You're a tricky one," he said. She tried to answer, but wound up coughing savagely instead, and he forced her face down in the dirt before she could manage another breath.